A car comes in the shop and you find that the brake fluid is low. You lift the car in the air, you do an inspection, you find that the brake line has leaked. So you need to replace it. What you could do is you could replace it with something like these, which are pre-bent stainless steel lines with the fittings on it, so that the double flare is there and the flare nut are already on. You could use this. You could get a piece of straight brake line, like this here, comes in many different lengths. Sometimes it's too long, but it does have the fittings on both ends. You may have to cut off an end and make a double flare right there, so that's something you may need to do. Or you may get brake line in bulk, like these two examples here. You need to get the flare nut separately, put them on, and then make the double flare. And this is done anytime you're replacing brake line in bulk like this. So maybe it's rusted, maybe the car was in an accident and damaged the brake line, and you need to do a repair. Making a double flare could be part of that. In today's video, we're going to show you how to do it. So let's get to it.
Now I want to cut my brake line. I have a 3/16 brake line and a cutter. I'm going to turn the black handle on the cutter just until the wheel touches the brake line. Once it touches the brake line, I can spin the cutter on the brake line itself, one revolution, and then turn the black handle clockwise just a fraction of an inch. Loop it around again, turn the black handle. Spin the cutter again, turn the black handle. And after a few revolutions, your line will be cut. You want to make sure that the brake line is cut evenly, and then when you look at it, it looks like it's round inside the tube and not been squared off. After cutting, I want to remount the end of the line. I'm using a pocket screwdriver in this case, but you can use the black file at the end of the cutter. Now that I've got the line cut, I'm going to use a file to clean up the burrs and the sharp edges on the line itself. I'm going to do both ends of this line at the same time. That way I can skip a step later on, and this helps you get the job done more quickly. On my fixture, I have the numbers on one side, and the other side of the fixture there's no numbers on it. Just right there. The side with the numbers must be facing up when it's in the vise and when you're working with the tool. Once I got it in the vise, I'm going to loosen up the wing nuts, and I'm going to put in my 3/16 brake line into the 3/16 spot. I'm going to lightly tighten up the wing nuts with my fingers so I can gauge how high the line needs to be out of the fixture. And it needs to be to the level, the first level of that black die. So right here, I have the wing nuts just finger tighten a little bit. I have the line right to the first level of that little die, right where the yellow arrow was. Once I get it in the proper spot, then I'm going to use the tool, the press, the handle on the press to tighten up the wing nuts. I want to make sure they're nice and tight so the line does not slip. Now I'm going to take that die, I'm going to turn it upside down and poke it into my brake line. I'm going to slip the vise, the press over top of the holding fixture right there. I'm just going to turn it until that black die touches the silver holding fixture. You can see I'm going to be crushing that brake line, changing its shape. When the die touches, you should feel it firm up a little bit on the handle, and then you're done. Now I can take the press off. Now step 2 of making this double flare is going to be just using the silver cone in the brake line. So I want to spin it down so that silver cone touches the brake line just when it touches without any pressure on it. You can see where the red arrow is. That is where it's just touching. There's no pressure on it yet. The yellow arrows indicate how far we're going to turn it once the cone touches the brake line. It's going to go from 12 o'clock to the 7 o'clock position. You can see I'm turning it right there between the yellow arrows. That is all the further you need to turn it when doing this second step of a double flare. Once I get that done, I'm going to loosen up the wing nuts with my press handle again. I'm going to take the brake line out of the fixture. I want to make sure it looks good. What I'm looking for is uniformity when I'm looking down the brake line. Looks nice and uniform. I got a nice shiny spot on the inside of the double flare. And the lines on the side of the line indicate that it did not slip in the fixture. So uniform looking in, uniform from profile, nice looking lines on the side of the line. And that's it. You've done. You've made your first double flare.